There are millions of people scrolling right now. Millions of voices speaking. Millions of hearts beating. But only a few feel things the way you do. You don't just notice pain, you absorb it. You don't just see brokenness, you carry it. You don't walk past suffering untouched. Something inside you pauses, prays, aches, and hopes. And for most of your life, you wondered, why am I like this? Why do I feel so deeply? Why does the weight of others' emotions sit in my chest? This message is not here to flatter you. It's here to explain you. Because 1 in a million hearts are entrusted with a very specific kind of calling. A heart shaped like Jesus' own. Not weak. Not fragile. But compassionate and strong at the same time. And as we continue, you'll begin to recognize why your life unfolded the way it did. Why your tenderness never left you. And why heaven has been quietly preparing you for something sacred. Most people are taught that compassion and strength cannot coexist. You're told, if you're kind, you'll be taken advantage of. If you're gentle, you must be weak. If you feel deeply, you won't survive a hard world. But Jesus shattered that lie. He wept, and he stood unshaken. He forgave, and he confronted. He served, and he carried authority. And somehow, you were wired the same way. You can endure what would harden others, yet still choose mercy. You've been hurt deeply, yet you didn't lose your ability to love. You've faced rejection, betrayal, silence. And still, your heart didn't turn cruel. That's not an accident. That's design. God does not give this kind of heart to everyone. Because not everyone can carry it without losing themselves. And yet, there were seasons when you almost did. Which leads us into the next truth you've lived through. You didn't just experience hardship. You were immersed in it. Not once. Not briefly. But repeatedly. And there were moments when you asked God, why does it have to be this heavy? Why do I have to learn everything the hard way? Why can't life be softer with me? But heaven was not punishing you. Heaven was deepening you. Jesus-level compassion cannot be taught through comfort. It is formed through exposure. You learn empathy because you were misunderstood. You learn patience because you were delayed. You learn forgiveness because you were wounded. And even when you were breaking, you still noticed when others were hurting. That's when heaven knew. This one can be trusted. Because anyone can be kind when life is gentle. But it takes a chosen heart to remain loving when life is cruel. And this shaping didn't stop in childhood. It followed you into relationships. Have you noticed this pattern? People open up to you without planning to. Strangers tell you things they've never said out loud. Hurting souls gravitate toward you. Even when you didn't invite them. It's because your spirit feels safe. You carry a non-judging presence. You listen without rushing to fix. You see people, not just their mistakes. This is the same way people ran toward Jesus. Not because he approved of everything, but because he made people feel seen before they felt corrected. But here's the part that exhausted you. You gave. You poured. You carried. And often you weren't replenished. You were strong for others, while silently bleeding yourself. And for a season, it felt like your gift was a burden. But God never intended for your compassion to destroy you. Only to mature you. Which brings us to the moment when something inside you shifted. There came a season in your life that didn't look dramatic from the outside. No loud goodbyes. No public declarations. No big confrontations. Just a quiet shift within you. You stopped explaining yourself. Not because you became bitter, but because you became tired of being misunderstood on purpose. You realized something painful yet freeing. Some people were never trying to understand your heart. They were trying to measure it, control it, or fit it into a version that made them comfortable. So you slowly stopped translating your intentions. Stopped justifying your kindness. Stopped defending your silence. You learned that a heart like yours doesn't need to be explained. It needs to be protected. And this wasn't easy for you. Because you are someone who loves clarity. You prefer peace over distance. You naturally want people to feel safe, reassured, included. But over time, God showed you something sacred. Explaining yourself to people who have already decided who you are only drains the compassion you were meant to preserve. So instead of arguing, you withdrew gently. Instead of proving, you remained consistent. Instead of chasing understanding, you allowed truth to reveal itself over time. This is when your strength matured. Because Jesus did the same. There were moments when he spoke openly to the crowds, and moments when he answered nothing at all. When questioned with pure curiosity, he explained. When confronted with manipulation, he stayed silent. Not out of weakness, but out of discernment. And you began to mirror that pattern without even realizing it. You learned when to speak, and when your peace mattered more than being right. You learned that not everyone deserves access to your vulnerability, especially those who treat it casually. So you stopped pouring your heart into ears that only half listened. You stopped revealing depth to people who only wanted surface-level versions of you. You stopped apologizing for the way God wired your emotions. And something subtle but powerful happened. Your compassion didn't disappear. It refined itself. Your kindness became quieter. Your love became more intentional. Your presence became more grounded. You no longer felt the need to rush into conversations to fix how you were perceived. You trusted that what is real doesn't need constant clarification. And while some people felt the distance and called it change, heaven called it growth. Because you didn't close your heart. You simply closed unnecessary doors. You began choosing peace over performance, truth over explanation, alignment over approval. And in that season of holy restraint, God was doing something deeper than you knew. He was teaching you how to carry Jesus-level compassion without bleeding yourself dry. He was preparing you to love wisely, to serve without losing yourself, to be present without being consumed. And as this new strength settled into you, you started noticing something else. Your silence spoke louder than your words ever had. People either rose to meet you with maturity, or quietly drifted away, and instead of chasing them, you let them go. Because your heart was learning a new language now, one rooted in discernment, balance, and peace. And this shift was not the end of your compassion. It was the foundation for what came next. Because once you stopped over-explaining your heart, God could finally begin positioning it for deeper impact, wider reach, and a strength that wouldn't collapse under pressure. And that is where the journey continues, into the kind of strength that doesn't announce itself, but is felt the moment you walk into a room. After you stopped over-explaining your heart, something else began to change. You didn't become louder. You didn't become more forceful. You didn't feel the need to announce your boundaries. You simply became steady. And that steadiness is the mark of Jesus-level strength. Because the strongest presence in the room is rarely the one demanding attention. It's the one that doesn't need it. Jesus didn't raise his voice to prove authority. He didn't compete for space. He didn't overpower others to feel powerful. When he spoke, it was measured. When he acted, it was intentional. When he was silent, it was just as powerful as his words. And without trying to imitate him, you began reflecting the same pattern. You stopped reacting to every provocation, stopped explaining every decision, stopped rushing to correct every misunderstanding. Not because you didn't care, but because you finally understood where your strength came from. Jesus-level strength doesn't erupt. It rests. It's the ability to stay composed when emotions run high, to stay kind when disrespect would justify harshness, to stay present when walking away would be easier. You learn how to pause instead of explode, how to listen instead of dominate, how to respond instead of react. And that kind of strength is unsettling to some people. Because loud strength demands attention. Quiet strength commands respect. You began noticing how your calm presence changed rooms. Conversations slowed down around you. Tension softened in your presence. People spoke more honestly when you were near. Not because you forced peace, but because you carried it. This is the same strength Jesus carried when storms obeyed him. He didn't panic the wind into submission. He spoke calmly, and chaos settled. You also began realizing that true strength doesn't need to prove itself through control. You stopped trying to manage outcomes. Stopped forcing timelines. Stopped carrying responsibilities that were never yours to begin with. And in letting go, you didn't lose influence. You gained authority. Because authority flows from alignment, not effort. Jesus could walk into a space and shift it without explaining himself. You are learning to do the same. Not through dominance, but through depth. And here's the part that healed you quietly. You stopped equating gentleness with weakness. You realized your softness is not a flaw. It's a discipline. It takes strength to stay tender in a hardened world. It takes courage to remain compassionate after being hurt. It takes faith to believe that love still works. And yet, Jesus chose gentleness even when power was available. He could have defended himself, but he trusted truth to speak. He could have retaliated, but he chose restraint. He could have escaped suffering, but he embraced purpose. And in your own way, you've been making the same choices. Every time you walk away instead of escalating. Every time you stay kind without being naive. Every time you hold your peace instead of proving a point. That is not passivity. That is mastery. And as you settle into this quieter strength, you may notice fewer people challenging you openly, but more people watching you closely. Because quiet strength invites reflection. Some will feel safe around it. Others will feel exposed by it. And both reactions are signs that your presence is carrying weight. But this strength was never meant to isolate you. It was meant to prepare you. Because there is a level of compassion that requires strength. And a level of strength that requires wisdom. And as this balance deepens within you, God begins guiding you toward an even more important understanding. Not everyone who recognizes your strength will know how to respect it. And that is where the next part of your journey unfolds. Not everyone celebrates Jesus-level compassion. Some people exploit it. Some misunderstand it. Some resent it. You were tested to see if your heart would harden. If your love would become conditional. If your empathy would turn into armor. And there were moments you almost changed. But something inside you refused to become less loving. Even when it would have been easier. That's when God knew your heart was anchored. Because chosen hearts don't abandon who they are. They learn how to protect it. And now, you're entering a different expression of this calling. This truth sets you free. Jesus healed many, but didn't chase all. Loved all, but carried the cross alone. Your role is not to rescue everyone. It is to represent Christ accurately. To love without losing yourself. To help without becoming depleted. To stand in truth without becoming harsh. Your compassion now has discernment. Your strength now has rest. Your heart now has direction. And this shift marks the beginning of a new season. Take a breath for a moment. Not to pause the message, but to let it sink beneath the noise. Because this part is not meant to be heard only. It's meant to be received. There are declarations that shout. And there are declarations that rest on the soul. This is the second kind. You were never random. Not in your sensitivity. Not in your endurance. Not in the way your heart remained open even when it was bruised. From the beginning, God shaped you with intention. While others learned how to protect themselves by becoming harder. You learned how to survive by becoming deeper. And heaven watched closely as you chose compassion. Again and again. Even when it cost you something. So let this be spoken gently over you now. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not overlooked. You were being rooted. Your delays were not denials. They were preparations. Your quiet seasons were not empty. They were formative. Every moment you felt unseen, God was strengthening your inner life. Every time you chose kindness without applause, your spirit grew steadier. Every time you forgave without being understood, your heart aligned more closely with Christ. You did not lose years. You gained depth. And now you are entering a season where that depth begins to show. Not through noise, not through performance, but through presence. People will feel safe around you without knowing why. Truth will surface near you without effort. Peace will follow you into places that once felt tense. You will not have to announce who you are becoming. Your consistency will speak. Your calm will testify. Your love will explain itself. Let this be declared over your relationships. You will no longer overextend yourself to be chosen. You will be met, not chased. You will be valued, not tolerated. God is aligning you with people who recognize the weight of your heart and handle it with care. Let this be declared over your strength. You will not burn out trying to save what you were never meant to carry. You will know when to help and when to step back. You will remain compassionate without becoming depleted. Your strength will come from stillness, not striving. Let this be declared over your purpose. You are not called to impress. You are called to impact. Your life will heal quietly. Your words will land deeply. Your presence will shift atmospheres. And you won't need to push doors open. What is aligned will recognize you. What is forced will fall away. What is divine will meet you with ease. Let this be declared over your future. You are stepping into clarity without losing tenderness, authority without arrogance, confidence without hardness. You will walk with Jesus-level compassion and Jesus-level strength, not as something you perform, but as who you are becoming. And as this declaration settles, nothing demands a response from you. No rush, no pressure, no dramatic ending, just a quiet knowing, a deep breath, a steady heart, and a sense that something within you has finally been named and gently affirmed. And as you continue forward from here, this declaration doesn't end. It walks with you, unfolding slowly, moment by moment, in the life you are still living. And as you go back into your life after this message, nothing suddenly changes on the outside, but something settles on the inside. A knowing, a peace, a gentle confidence. You don't need to become someone else. You don't need to harden your heart. You don't need to shrink your compassion. You simply walk forward, carrying what only a few were trusted with. And the story continues. In every interaction, every quiet act of love, every moment your heart chooses light. Chosen one, before you go, I want to speak to the givers, the ones whose hearts feel called to pour back into the vessel that pours into them. If this message awakened you, if it strengthened you, if it spoke to your spirit in a way only heaven could orchestrate, then I invite you, only if your heart feels led, to sow a $1 seed into this channel. Not because God needs it, but because giving is a spiritual law. A small seed carries big obedience. And God multiplies what is given with pure intention. Your $1 keeps this ministry alive, keeps the messages flowing, and helps this word reach the next chosen one who needs it. If you feel that nudge in your spirit, if you feel that gentle pull, you can plant your $1 seed using the link in the description. And if you can't or don't feel led, you are still loved, still seen, and still covered. Blessings to every giver, and blessings to every listener. Your seed moves heaven in ways you may never see. But God sees it all.